Hey everyone, welcome to another session of Conversations with Courageous Cancer Warriors. And today we are talking about my favorite topic, the law of attraction. So we are honored to have NeoPositivity here with us today so we could talk about all the things. Neo, how are you?
Life is amazing, and thank you for having me on.
I am so excited for this conversation. So I'd love to hear a little bit. How did you discover the law of attraction?
Well, I used to be a police officer in New Jersey, in Camden City specifically, and one of my old partners was a retired CIA agent. And he told me about this movie that they make all of their academy recruits watch. And I'm expecting this, SWAT team movie. I was on the SWAT team, but no, it was called The Secret. And I'm sure you're familiar with
I
that
am.
movie. Immediately when I heard them say thoughts become things, it was it. It was like so many events in my life all connected and clicked as to why and dot dot dot. And I was immediately a fan. I knew that in order to get my mind under wraps, I had to learn how to meditate. So got on that right away. YouTube, started creating my own mental exercises because the things that I found online were very good for those people in those specific situations. Specifically, I was studying millionaires and billionaires and the commonalities between the law of attraction with what they were saying in their songs or their movies or in their writings. And I found the connections were amazing. But their affirmation might not work for me. They're already there. They're already a millionaire. They're already, dot, dot, dot. So I had to come up with my own. And that's when that's basically when I blossomed.
I love
That's
that
basically
word.
when I blossomed and I became somebody else. And I've just been pointing at things and getting them ever since.
I love it. So tell me what it was like for you. So here you are, you're in the academy, you're expecting to go and see this movie that is not what it ends up being. You resonate with it. You,
Well, I was
you
actually a cop for 8 years before I saw the movie.
okay. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. So you watch this movie, it makes absolute sense. It connects everything for you. What's your next step?
Use it. Use
So,
it.
so what'd you do?
What happened to me was in the movie they talk about using a feather, like trying to manifest something small at first, a feather or a butterfly. Well, I always saw butterflies. There were cocoons in my backyard. I had some land back in Jersey, but I rarely ever saw feathers. I don't know if it's because it was always 13 miles an hour wind every day, but I rarely ever saw feathers. And I did like the movie said, I just pictured it in my hand, just having it, no good, no bad. And it's so funny, the feather, I still have it to this day. I went outside the next day and there was this feather slightly tucked into my windshield wiper, just dangling,
Mm.
like to the point where I had to run and stop it before it flew on the floor. And I was just like, you know what it took for me to manifest. First, I was like, oh my God, I made that out of thin air. And then I was like, well, logically, the ego steps in and says, well, you didn't do that. And I said, but you know what it took to get that feather, the bird to be in the right spot, to lose the feather and for the wind to carry it and leave it there just long enough for me to come outside. Like that was insane. And it's funny because I always have the feather hanging up on the entrance to my office. And so I can never show people. So I moved it over here so that I could. This is the feather right here. And it's not just a normal feather, it's huge. And I
Huge.
glue tack on it and I keep it right on the wall. I've had this. This for me, this was my first proactive manifestation. Obviously, I've been manifesting my whole life with every thought, but that was the first one I ever went for, and I wanted to make sure I kept that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that was my first thing.
And what I love about it is that the universe didn't only just provide it, it gave it to you in a way that it was like, you can't miss this because it is
Yes.
such a large feather. So it's like the universe was hitting you over the head with it, for lack
Yeah,
of a better
it's
way to say it. It's like, pay attention, here it is, right?
how people say you don't ever see your car until you buy your car,
Right,
your version. And then you're like, okay, well, the theory behind that is it was always there. You just weren't seeing it.
right.
That feather, that size, nah. Nah. So like you said, if I'd have went outside and it was a tiny feather, a couple, no, it was huge and it was on my car
Yeah.
in my windshield wiper waiting for me as
So
if
all
it
you could do,
just it had to have just had landed because it was dangling in the wind, like ready to fly out. And so, yeah, that's it for me. I
it
was
was waiting
convinced.
for you. And with a sign like that, having that happen, how can you not believe? So from that moment on, how did your life change? You said that you're able to manifest a whole bunch of things, but how did you use that?
Well, 8 months later, I retired from the police department. A little while after that, I felt invincible and went for custody of my kids. Got that with no lawyer, just walked in the room with straight law of attraction. Um, Ended up moving to Florida. I got my pilot's license, started working with the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl the only year that I've worked with them. Um, yeah, and it's just been everything ever since. All the events, the things that I've been attracting, different speaking engagements, arenas, people, groups. It's just been a ride. It's been a really, really great ride. But I just got to get out of my own way like other people. I got to get out of my own way for those next big goals that I see as unobtainable right now. Or I have to do
Yeah.
this. I got to meet this person. I got to get this number of followers before I can dot, dot, dot. And so I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else. We all just constant works in progress. But if you're not working on yourself, what are you doing? Surfing
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, totally. 100%. So I literally have my social media on my phone as time sucks, right? They're in a folder, then
Nice.
that's what they're labeled to remind me because sometimes we forget, right? So for somebody just starting out that may not be familiar, what do you say to them?
Well, I tell them that thoughts become things. Stay focused. It's written on the wristband. I always have this shirt on that I'm wearing that says thoughts become things. I'm giving them out. Everywhere I go, I'm preaching this phrase. And I think that's the biggest thing I could possibly do. When I was dealing with one-on-one clients, it was hard to get them to do their mental exercises, their mental check-ins. Are my thoughts serving me? Whatever I was giving them. Because remember to do these exercises, I like to call them mental exercises, is the hardest part.
Mhm.
But the one way I really got them to do it was fear. Thoughts become things makes you fear your negative thoughts because they're basically taking food or money off the table. Every negative thought. And for me, a neutral thought, because time moves on, a neutral thought then turns negative because it's about the past. I'm moving forward. I need to worry about the next thing. So neutral to me is negative too. You have to always be excelling or being positive or moving in that positive direction. And with that in mind, when I catch myself being negative, I proactively do a couple things to shift that muscle memory. The brain is a muscle, has muscle memory, it's going to throw at you what it's used to throwing at you. So you have to change what it's used to throwing at you through repetition. So when I catch myself being negative, I repetitiously say the opposite. Ask myself, how would I like that situation to play out and how would it make me feel? Once I know how it would make me feel, that sentence right there, it would make me feel amazing, or if it would make me feel amazing because that's my affirmation. That's what I need to repeat.
Mm.
That's how I need to shift my brain. And once I do that work, the universe responds in kind. And so if you're just now getting into it, what is it you want? How is it would make you feel? What would you be saying in that moment? Take that, use it as an affirmation, say it in sets of 10, as many times as you can remember to today. After that, you're going to get a phone call, email, something nudging you in that area. That's what I call inspired action.
Mm.
The universe nudges and you go. Take inspired action. The universe will give you another sign. You recognize that as a sign. You appreciate that sign, manifest more signs. Next thing you know, you're sitting in whatever you wanted. And the key after that is to make sure you do it all again.
Yeah, don't stop, right? Because
Yes,
it's
remember the steps.
yeah, it's a the word I'm looking for. It's never ending. It's
Yeah.
infinite.
As long as you have goals, there's going to be a recipe or a formula to get it. This is
Yeah.
that formula.
So for the people who aren't really sure what they want, how would you coach them into that?
What feels good and what feels right. This is like when people ask, what's my purpose? What would you do for 40 hours a week for free because you love doing it that much?
Yeah.
You got a couple $1 billion, you done paid off all your family's debt and bought everybody houses and cars. Everybody is fine now and you're bored. You're going to start a company. What kind of company is it? To
I
change
love
the
that.
world. I don't want you opening the YMCA for the local neighborhood. No, I need a worldly idea. So finding your purpose, that's what I would say as far as that. Anything else, just find what you want, what you love to do, what makes you smile. When you pursue that, the waves will be at your back because that's where you were meant to go. So many times in my life, I was going to say shoot it for, but I would not really shot for, but I would be like, oh, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. And then I get it. And I didn't even really want it.
Yeah.
And I want this. I want this. I want this. A week later, I don't even really want it. I've moved on. And it's like, those are the things that you weren't meant to have. You thought you wanted, but you got to distinguish the two. Go for what will give you that everlasting happiness for a while and shoot for that. Start to align your frequency with that. Any two things that vibrate at the same frequency will naturally pull towards each other. When you think about something, you're vibrating at its frequency. Align with it. And
Yeah.
then it'll come towards you.
And you just said something, right? The two frequencies similar will find themselves. Right now, the big thing that everybody talks about, like that buzzword I keep hearing, is manifesting, right? Manifesting clients, manifesting your life, manifesting. So for me, I kind of feel this is definitely part of this conversation. Sorry, the word I wanted to use was magnetism, right? So we've heard about manifesting. We heard about, like you're saying, the law of attraction, putting it out there and having it come back to you. How would you say that that differs from what people are saying about being magnetic?
Basically, it's the same thing.
Right?
Vibrating at the same frequency, pulling it towards you. You could think of it the same way. And I like that magnet analogy more because, excuse me, because when you stop thinking about it, you're pushing it away from you.
Mhm.
I don't think that's one key thing that a lot of people aren't talking about much. That's why I love having my law of attraction summits, because I get to pull from so many different people at the same time. Let's say I want to manifest the lifestyle of being a billionaire on a beach. And I think about it. I think about it. I think about it. Now, that is a hollow thought. Once you feel the greatness and how it would feel by asking your things like, how would it feel to be a millionaire or a billionaire on a beach right now? You're vibrating at its frequency. You're pulling it closer towards you. Once your child knocks on the door and you remember, I'm at this house. I expect to be at this house in the next 5 minutes. I expect to wake up here tomorrow. I expect to be in this situation. All that is normal thought foundations. Every thought has a foundation. That is part of it. So now you're manifesting a future of being at this house, not the $1 billion house on the Bahamas. So you're not only pulling this house towards your future, but you're pushing the other one away. So you need to spend more seconds, as many as you can throughout the day, thinking about what you want. Be in what you want. Walk around as the person you want to be now. Nobody is in your imagination except you. You can imagine being that person that you want to be. Maybe you're at work and you, in your mind, own the company and you're doing an inspection. That's why you're walking down a hallway, as opposed to you getting up from your cubicle to walk down a hallway to go to the bathroom. Use this downtime to water the right seeds. I always say water and seeds because I love that. There's nothing there. You water it, you nourish it. Now there's a plant there, and it's looking at you. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's not. But most people, most times, are wondering, how did it get here? Because you watered that seed. You vibrated at that frequency.
And so a lot of our listeners are dealing with some health problems. And a lot of them are dealing with the, did I create this myself versus did this just happen to me? So I love that water the seeds analogy, because my thing is that, we're going to have things happen to us that are beyond our control. And the only things we can control is how we handle them. So a lot of times that mantra is going to look like, I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm free. So if you had to give someone some support around their mindset in dealing with something like facing their mortality, what would that look like?
Well, first off, I've never been in this situation, so I'm just guessing at this point. And it's crazy. I just had a cancer survivor. I did a podcast with a cancer survivor yesterday, and I was asking her, what techniques she would use to get out of it. And basically she was using the fear technique of, I know what will happen next if I keep watering that seed. Um, comedy, lots of comedy,
Yeah, definitely.
lots of comedy. Just put some funny stuff on Netflix every day. Make sure you're laughing.
Mhm.
And confidence,
Mm.
overconfidence in the outcome. What's the worst that could happen? You're wrong and you pass away.
Mhm.
That's where cancer takes you anyway. So you might as well try every avenue you can to get away from it. This is an avenue that has worked. When you are sad and depressed about something, you're lowering your immune system. That's a fact. And so being in that situation, lowering your immune system probably isn't the best idea.
Right.
And to go back to what you said earlier about, did I attract this into my life? I am a firm believer that, everything that's ever happened to us, we attracted into our life with our
Mhm.
thoughts. You don't shut this off. I talk to people all the time that are like, I don't know about the law of attraction. I didn't manifest my grandma dying. Well, for one, everybody's grandma dies at some point. For
Yeah.
two, collective energy. It's not just you. Everyone knows she was older and sicker and was ready to go, or I didn't manifest that car accident. I wasn't even thinking about a car accident. It's not about the specific car accident. It's about the feeling, the emotion, whatever depressed or sad thoughts you have been thinking, manifested more depressed and sad thoughts. And sadly enough, women seem to, in my opinion, have it worse than males because women care more. They're
Mhm.
more loving and nourishing, whereas guys get over stuff easily. So we're
Right.
able to let that negative scenario, that negative narrative go. Whereas, like I compare it to like looking in a mirror, a female looking into the mirror and what she's saying versus a male looking into the mirror and what he might be saying. And in my opinion, it's two totally different narratives going on. Now, when you add that into the law of attraction in every part of your life, how you eat, how you drive, where you hang out at, your friends, who you surround yourself with, and you got yourself some work to do.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
definitely some
It's
work to
all
do.
connected, right? And the thing too is that, who you surround yourself with also makes a big impact. So I often say, you don't need to divorce anybody here, right? You don't need to get rid of any friends, but you need to add people in that are going to support this positive conversation. Um,
I'd say get rid of them.
sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. But
That's true. I have situations where I can't,
right,
and you find ways around it.
yeah,
You find ways around it. Maybe ease back on the conversation, and that person will see that every time they go to that negative headspace, you're either changing the conversation or walking away from it. But either way, there's only so much of someone else's stuff you can take on before it
exactly.
starts to really. That's the reason why I don't watch certain TV shows anymore. I found myself running myself narrative scenarios of
Mhm.
me in that situation. Like, how would
Yeah.
I get out of it? Hours later, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to be
Yeah,
watering at that seed at all. So
yeah.
you got to be careful about
And
how much you take
especially
on.
and especially with your background, right? Like you've seen some stuff in life. So I could see how that would be very difficult for you
Yeah.
to not go there.
And you know what? Even now, like when I fly, every now and then it pops in my head. What if no, shut that down. Shut that down immediately.
Yeah.
I'm pretty quick with it when I'm in the air. And I'm really quick with it on the ground, but I'm quicker with it in the air to
Yeah.
stop that negative narrative. Um, but it's a practice.
Yeah.
Brain is muscle, has muscle memory. It's like jogging. You could be really good at jogging, but you take a month off, you're not good at it no more. Not as good as you used to be. I suggest you make it a daily practice. I got 54 reminders, even this tattoo, that go off daily on my phone into my watch. A little, just one vibrate.
Mhm.
Not, absurd, making me do the mental exercises. Just one. If I get to it at this moment, I do. If I don't, I'll come back to it later. But 54 times I get a vibration on my phone and I'm doing my mental exercise. Like, it is really a really nice day outside. I live in Florida. It's probably
Mhm.
like 93 degrees outside, which makes me not want to go outside. But it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. And even when it's raining, sometimes that's beautiful.
Yeah. I live in Florida too, so I like the rain.
What part?
I live in Tampa.
Oh, I'm in Spring Hill, about an hour north of you.
Yeah. We're about to move to Dunedin, so I'm super excited.
Nice, nice. I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of things about that area.
Oh, it's a great little town. Great little town. But yeah, I can't agree with you more that it is hot here in the summer months that we do the reverse. You know how everybody, for those of you listening, if you've never been to Florida in the middle of the summer, when you're dealing with winter, you know how you stay inside. Well, that's what we do here in the summer. We go out in the morning, we go out at night, and in the
At
day
night.
we just stay in. So and we consider it our winter because it's just too hot.
I've
So
never heard anyone put it like that before, but that is perfect.
right.
And it justifies me not leaving the house all
Yeah.
day.
It's just like in the winter when you have a lot of snow, you're like, I'm not going out there. Forget
Even if it's
it.
cold, I'm not going outside.
Right?
But you know what? I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
because you said something about the spousal situation. Or is your spouse supportive of your law of attraction practices? I see you've got the I don't
I
know what it's called,
do.
but I want one. I see it
Yeah.
in the background. Is he supportive? She supportive?
Mhm.
Or are they like changing the subject every time we try to talk about it, like most spouses?
That's a really great question because that if you don't have somebody that supports you, and that's why I was saying earlier, like, don't go in to get divorced by anybody, right? Like, don't leave anybody behind. You don't have to do that, but you have to add the people. So I'm very fortunate that we have the same mindset around that, right? And that's the Tibetan singing bowl that we it changes the energy field within your environment.
Oh yeah,
So
I
it'll
love
go
those
really well
things.
with what you do. Yeah. And it creates the frequency, the vibration will actually uplift you. And that's why they use a lot with meditation.
They're
Um,
actually pretty expensive, but worth it.
they're worth it for sure. And so yeah, I'm very fortunate that my significant other we're in alignment with a lot of these practices.
Nice.
And we have a mirror in our bathroom that have our affirmations, and every morning that's what we do before we go to bed. Like that's where we found it was most beneficial as a reminder for us to make sure it's in our environment, right? So I have it, guys, wherever you spend the most time. So for me, it works best. I know I'm going to brush my teeth in the morning. I know I'm going to go there in the afternoon to brush my teeth. I know I'm going to go there at night to brush my teeth. So I'm guaranteed 3 times a day that I'm going to go in and I'm going to say my affirmations. So you have to make these practices work for you. It's really easy to have them fall to the wayside if you're not intentional. And if you have people in your life that are not supporting you, that's why I say find the people who will. Because just like have how we've gone through our diagnosis, some people don't understand what we've been through. They're not the people that you want to talk to. It doesn't make them bad. You just need to then add more people to your support system to get them to remind you of like, hey, did you work out today? Did
Yep.
you do your affirmations? You can't do this alone. It takes a community. And that's why I love, Neo, that you said that you have a summit. How many times does your summit meet, and when's your next one?
It started off last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was that. I was doing them every month, but then it got to be like a lot. And
It's a
then
lot.
I moved it to every 2 months. And now it's kind of like every 6 months or whatever. Like I'm
Oh,
doing one August 20th, and the next one will probably, I was thinking about January, but I've met so many great people, great speakers that I'm thinking about just throwing one together for like October. Because I
yeah.
have at least 4 or 5 people that I want to be able to showcase. And the beautiful thing about my summit, and I've spoken at a bunch of law of attraction summits. I'll give you an example. Law of Attraction World Summit. I recorded an hour with the host. And during the summit, she would talk and then play a video, and then talk and play an hour video, and talk and play an hour video with her speakers. And that was cool and all, but I'm more of a round campfire type person.
Mhm.
So for me, each of my speakers gets a half an hour section. And I say section because they only get 5 minutes to give a speech, kind of. And you're answering 2 questions in those 5 minutes. How do you use the law of attraction in your day-to-day practice?
Mhm.
What is it you do? Affirmations, morning rituals, and what has it done for you? That's five
Yeah.
minutes. The other 25 minutes, you're taking questions from the audience.
I love that.
Rapid fire, live. They want to know
Ah,
this, answer the question.
Oh, I
And
can't
then
wait.
we have panel discussions, lightning rounds where I'll be like, Lori, Janine from Arizona wants to know, how do you handle the ego when it's kicking your back in and it won't stop, and then you just 60 seconds go. So it's like really
Love it.
dope. And then like all the speakers give away books. I give away t-shirts and wristbands and poker chips that say thoughts become things, stay focused. So it's just a really great atmosphere, and everyone walks away from it with a sheet of paper with stuff on it like this, like notes. Are my thoughts serving me? Make lists. Every day you should be making lists, whether it's what you're great at, what you're shooting for, things you're thankful for. You should be listing things like that. Smile more, put you in a different room. Remember your morning rituals, have mind, heart, coherence. Like all this, these are notes from the last summit, basically, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
you
love
just
it.
walk away with notes and you're in a great spirits. And now you got
Yeah.
information that you're going to use. You're going to pass it to your kids. It's just, I love it. I love doing it.
Yeah. And I
Round
have
campfire atmosphere, lay low, relax. No speeches, no speeches.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to be there. And I can't wait to share the link for everybody to be able to sign up. So, Neo, how can people find you?
NeoPositivity.com is the one-stop shop for everything Instagram, summit, live streams. I do a subscription. I have 43 different mental exercises that I do. I send them out 5 days a week, so you won't get the same exercise in 2 months. And they're all beautiful. Like the I deserve, where you say I deserve as many times as you can in one day, or how would it feel to? I love that, because it's like,
That's my
if you say I'm
favorite.
retired, I'm retired, the ego's like, no, you're not, no, you're not. But if you say how would it feel to be retired, the
Yeah.
ego has to shut up and let you sit in that headspace. So a bunch of wonderful mental exercises that I send out. All of that, it's all on neopositivity.com. T-shirts, merchandise, anything you need to get you right. But I want to key in on something. This shirt, this wristband, and the poker chips, these are not for me to make sales. That's why I make them so cheap. These are reminders. This is what wakes you up throughout the day. When you're driving and someone cuts you off and you're about to make up a whole scenario about how this person hates you and they woke up ready to cut you off and on the highway, you see this black and white, and it reminds you, I don't want to water that seed. I don't want to manifest this ugly feeling back into my life again. And the same thing with the poker chip. You reach in your pocket. What's that? Oh, yeah. And you do your affirmation. It actually has thank you written on it, because I want you to say thank you 10 times. That's what these are for. You have to do these things to make them work.
Yeah.
It's like crystals.
Absolutely.
They can this is a quartz crystal. They compare crystals to magnifying glass. If you just stays on the table, it's just a magnifying glass.
Right.
You have to use it to get its effectiveness. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. Use this more often than not. To whom much is given, much is tested. It's going to take more than just saying I'm rich 10 times a day to get a paycheck. You got to work harder.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so
you.
much for your time today. You're just incredible.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening and taking the steps to creating a better future for my kids, for our kids. That's why we do it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.